Hello, and welcome to I'm Right.
And you're wrong.
TM! Hi, my name is Mark Freeman.
And I'm Andrew Lowen.
Today on
I'm right, and you're wrong.
we will be discussing the topic question of the day.
Should the justice system be harder on youth who commit crimes?
And as always, we will have our before and after research opinions. In my opinion, the youth criminal justice system should stay the same because they serve fair and righteous punishment to all the youth criminals out there. I believe that first offenders should not have to pay as much of a penalty as second or repeat offenders.
I disagree with the justice system because the youth who are charged are not realizing the extent of their crimes and are prone to reoffend, possibly in a more severe way.
The reason for my opinion is because I believe youth criminals are under control and therefore there's no reason to change the system, because it is obviously working just fine. The consequences should stay the same because the consequences for all varieties of crime seem very reasonable. What's your reason for your opinion, Andrew?
Well, I actually absolutely disagree with your reason.
No, is that right?
On the contrary, Mark, the youth offenders are not punished severely enough. The needs of the victims are not fully seen by the offenders, and the justice system, the offenders also think that the charged won't follow them after they turn 18 years old, but it still does. In other words, the offenders aren't getting the full extent of what they've actually committed.
Interesting point. After research, we found out that the consequences inflicted by the YCJA are extremely fair and reasonable to the youth committing the crime. Such an example would be when a first offender is caught doing graffiti, they are more likely to have a smaller consequence than a repeated offender, which seems very fair to us.
Indeed. After research, I found out that after a young offender was charged with any type of crime, they are less likely to recommit a more severe crime or any crime of the sort. This is because of the process that the young offender must go through to understand what they have done, like going to court, getting charged, having to go to meetings and support groups, and finally carrying out the community service or any other services that were charged against them when they were in court.
To validate our sources,
we used our social textbook, Issues for Canadians.
and if that isn't validated enough,
Pigs will fly.
My position on the YCJA after research remains the same. I believe the system is fair for the youth offenders and those affected by them. The punishments served are all fair to the circumstances of each and every different situation.
Although Mark's opinion had stayed the same, mine has changed. Now I think that the justice system is doing a good job at charging young offenders fairly and in a way that meets their needs and the needs of the victim.
My opinion has stayed the same because I still believe that the YCJA inflicts the right consequences for the crimes, for the youth criminals and their crimes.
Although Mark's opinion has stayed the same, mine has changed, like I said before. Although I disagree with the fact that the justice system was doing things wrong, I now believe that the justice system is treating young offenders fairly and are meeting the needs and the criteria that both the young offender and the victim need to fully carry out the crime charges.
Thank you for joining us in I'm Right and You're Wrong.